Hey guys, JBspherefreak here, back for another ultimate video, and today we're going to be going back into Xenoblade Chronicles with one buff for every single one of the party members. But if you enjoy this video today, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can edge ever closer to that next 100 subscriber landmark. Also, spoiler warning for the 7th party member of Xenoblade Chronicles. You have been warned. So, before we get started, let's lay down the ground rules. Number 1, don't take away the identity or role of the character. Number 2, no adding in new abilities or skills. And number 3, don't make the character a one-man army. Basically meaning don't make them overpowered so that they can take down any boss on themselves, while still keeping the character who they are, whilst improving on their current abilities and making them just more fun to play. So let's start off with someone who really needs a bit of improvement. Let's see. Sharla, the sharpshooter healer of Xenoblade Chronicles. Sharla's main role is as a healer and support character for her other party members, which is why she possesses very few offensive arts, but lots of arts for healing or supporting her party members. However, as a character, she has one huge weakness, and that is her talent art, Cool Off. This single mechanic and one ability makes Sharla feel very clunky to play and just unfun for most other players, which is why she is regarded as the worst party member out of the 7. However, with one tweak to just one of her arts, I think Sharla could become a pretty fun character to play as. The art in question is her final art, Drive Boost, an aura which reduces the cooldown of all other arts. However, it prevents auto-attacking and movement whilst the aura is active. This can bring a brief moment of enjoyment with Sharla, as you're able to spam arts away into the enemy and unload thousands of points of healing into your friendlies all at the same time. However, the aura will always be short-lived, as it will cancel whenever you use Cool Off, and hence the buff. I propose that they make it that whilst ever Drive Boost is active, Sharla cannot build up heat from her rifle. Granted, this would only give you 30 seconds at most of pure fun as you unload damage and healing into everybody. However, the actual overall effects of this would be incredible for all players, whether it's endgame content or whether it's playing through the main story. Sharla possesses Thunderbullet, which at level 12 would have just over a 2-second cooldown when Drive Boost is activated, and the majority of her healing and support arts would go from very long cooldowns to short cooldowns and allow for rapid use. This wouldn't be remotely overpowered either, as she would still possess the weaknesses of the art normally anyway, being no auto-attacking or movement. And with the rate that she will be able to blow through arts, she will generate a hell of a lot of aggro, meaning the long cooldown on the Drive Boost aura anyway would actually be more of a blessing. However, Mellie does have a skill that would also further improve this strategy and help draw back some of those weaknesses that were just mentioned, but we'll go into that later when we come to Mellie. Next up on the list, it's the hero of the Homs himself, Dunban. Dunban is already one of the more stronger party members of the 7 in Xenoblade Chronicles. With his array of different auras, strong physical arts, and high agility, Dunban can lean himself to be a reliable DPS and an effective dodge tank, depending how you have him built. However, an art I don't see many players actually using is his Blinding Blossom, one of his few support arts, which allows him to take aggro from another party member. His whole character is based around the aura mechanic, hence the reason he possesses 6 different auras. I propose to add on to this identity and gameplay for Dunban that Blinding Blossom also has the effect of taking the aura of whatever party member he takes the aggro from as well, providing that they have it active. This would therefore remove the aura from the party member that's having their aggro drained, and because auras can't stack, it would also remove Dunban's current aura and replace it with the new one. Now, how I would do it is I'd make it so that the actual length of the aura is what was remaining on the party member when it was taken, plus his bonuses from his skills. But can you imagine a Berserker Dunban ripping shred with Soaring Tempests? This could also have the downside, as an example, of taking Drive Boost from Sharla, which we previously just mentioned, as the effects of that aura would have no bearing on Dunban's kit. However, the weaknesses of that aura could still persist through, meaning the player would have to still think about his other party members and what auras they are currently running. Some of my favourite examples of auras that Dunban would now have the ability to get would be the previously mentioned Berserker, Speed Shift from Fiora, Ricky is Angry, because somehow that will make sense, Healing Energy, and Engage. But let me know in the comments down below which aura you think would be very, very effective and fun on Dunban. I'll be reading through them. Now, from the hero hum to the hero pon, it's Ricky time. Doesn't quite have the same ring, does it? Ricky's a bit of a random character, with the most HP in the game, healing art, lots of damage art, ether art, lots of support arts. He can do pretty much anything. But the special thing about Ricky is he has the most amount of debuffs, or the most availability to debuffs, than any other party member in the game. However, a lot of the higher level enemies have very high resistance or a complete immunity to almost all of them, which is where this buff comes in. Ricky's final skill on his final skill tree is Cuddly Hero, which increases Ricky's resistance to all debuffs by 30%. This is great defensively, but I think we can turn it a bit offensive as well at the same time. I propose that this skill should also lower all of the enemy's resistance to all debuffs by 30% as well. Now, there will still be exceptions to the rule, such as large enemies' resistance to break outside of a chain attack, or certain flying enemies that have got a topple immunity, but the majority of things like blaze, chill, poison, paralysis, the chances of those being inflicted can go up a little bit, meaning that Ricky can be even more of a nuisance on the battlefield than he ever was before. So from one person from all known laws of aviation shouldn't be able to fly, we go to someone else who shouldn't be able to either. It's Mellie, the main ether wielder of the party members. Have you ever looked at Mellie and thought, Mellie?
One of the weaker characters from the main campaign.
No? Me neither, but here's a buff for her anyway. In my opinion, Mellie's weakest art is her aura power effect, which only has the slight effect of doubling the range of your elementals when they've been summoned, which from my experience from playing through the main game, typically isn't very effective. So I propose we give it a buff. How about, whilst having the aura active, not only is the range doubled, but also the effects are doubled as well. So instead of a 20% buff to Aretha when Summon Bolt is active, it would be a 40% buff instead. I was also going to suggest that the Elemental Discharge effect could also be buffed in terms of being double as well. However, after further investigation, with at best 120% ether buff and double damage on a Summon Bolt, I think that might be a tad too overpowered compared to all the other characters. Mellie also possesses quite a few skills which are affected by auras, so boosting the use of this art also increases her effectiveness even more thanks to those existing skills, one of which being the skill referred to earlier, Arcane Aura, which lowers her aggro gain. I then think the name of this art would have a lot more reason than what it does actually have currently now. Oh wow, there's a rainbow outside. But you can't have a rainbow without Rhine! It's Rhine time, the sidekick to Shulk. Rhine's designed as the main tank in Xenoblade Chronicles, with many abilities designed to take the aggro, deal high damage, and protect his other party members. But who's going to protect him? Well, with a simple tweak, it could be himself. Rhine's Mad Taunt ability has quite a lot of use in the game. In the early game, it's fantastic for taking the aggro away from Shulk, and in the late game, it's fantastic with Magnum Charge to deal stupid damage onto any unlucky suspecting foe. However, in the late game, Mad Taunt isn't really that useful on its own as an ability, as at that stage of the game, you'll more than likely already have your aggro up gems, and enough damage to keep the aggro anyway. So how about we give Rhine's talent gauge even more utility? How about for each enemy that's already aggroed onto Rhine when he uses Mad Taunt, he gains a small shield-like barrier, similar to what Sharla's shield bullet produces, onto himself. The barrier would only absorb damage up to his level multiplied by 10, so a maximum of 990 damage at level 99, or only 10 damage at level 1. But throughout the entire game, this would then give Rhine a lot more defensive potential. Strong talent art and arts would still easily burn through the small barrier that he's made. So all this would actually help to do is reduce the effects of chip damage, which can very easily and quickly wear him down without a healer. The effect would only have to last for either 5 or 10 seconds at most, and it would only produce a huge barrier if there are lots of enemies fighting all at once, which currently all of the final bosses and the higher level Knock-on Stone missions are usually 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 fights, meaning it's still not going to be a very big barrier in the first place, but it's just that little something. So next up is the Monado boy himself, Shulk. He's already the best character in the game, with his variety of arts, high damage, and he wields the freaking Monado. So there's not really a lot that the Monado boy really needs. But one of the arts that I see used the least is Monado Eater. Now, when I first found out about this art, I was under the impression that it had a certain effect, which I later found out, when I got Definitive Edition, that it doesn't. And that is heal when buffs have been consumed. So the simple buff is exactly that. Dependent on the amount of buffs that Monado Eater is able to remove, Shulk regains some amount of his own maximum HP. 10% would probably do, per buff, but it would be a nice addition to his kit, and would probably save a lot of players from times when they might have died. It also fits well for a tank sort of role, being able to heal back HP and deal damage over time, instead of just high overall damage, which might be lacking if you're running a more tanky build on Shulk. It could also consume and absorb other auras which are on the enemy at the same time, similar to what we've mentioned previously with Blinding Blossom and Dunban, but for the enemies instead. However, I think this would be very complicated, as there isn't really a Crazed or Awakening effect for the party members, so prob's best just to stick with healing. And now, on to the final party member, Fiora. Fiora, like others on the list, is a very versatile character, and that's shown again through her moveset, with an array of arts, auras, and a selection of talent arts. And although there's a lot of things you can tweak to her, such as improving on her Drain arts, so that she can do her best Barn impression, but I think something a little bit more simple is in order. Very simply, give us Sword Drones 10 with a gem slot. The Sedna drones are an amazing piece of equipment, and Sword Drones 10 is incredibly powerful, but with no option for another gem, Fiora does feel sometimes very limited. And as they say in Pokemon, she has 4 slot syndrome, and it really wouldn't be all that overpowered to have the ability to equip 1 more gem to provide a little bit more damage, to provide a little bit more defense, provide a little bit more healing, depending what you want to put on her. So really simply, Monolith Soft, if you intend to change some of the features and buff some of the characters, then please look into these 7 options so that we can have some people like Sharla and some pieces of equipment like Fiora's Sedna drones actually get some proper use. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss out on any of my future content. I hope you've all enjoyed, and see you next time.